Hello, everyone. Welcome again to Woodside SDA Youth, where we are doing 365 days with Jesus. That is right. Every single day, we want to read the Word of God, and at the end of the year, we want to say that we read the entire Bible. Now, guys, it has been a very, very difficult last 2 weeks. There's so much responsibilities. There's so many things at work, family things to do, so many trips, a lot of things in the way, and many times it's easy to fall back on the reading. I have fallen back on our reading. I wanted to read, but there's things that come up, and then I choose to do those other things, and I forget to put special time for God. If you find yourself in this situation, if you feel like you are falling behind on the reading, and you feel discouraged, and you feel like you shouldn't start right now, maybe wait until next year. No, no, no. What I want to tell you today is that God just wants you to know, open the Bible and read it. There's a group of people here in Woodside SDA Youth who are doing this Bible reading plan. God is telling you, just open the Bible. Doesn't matter where you are, where you're starting. Just open the Bible. Start reading with everybody else. Start sharing your thoughts. Because, guys, it doesn't really matter to say, oh, I read the entire Bible. What really matters is what messages God can show you in His reading. All that matters is that you just spend a few minutes a day reading the Word of God. And if you are falling behind, if you are unable to catch up, doesn't matter. Just continue at your own pace. This is not a race. This is not a competition. This is a way or a plan that we came up with the church so that we can strengthen our spiritual life. It's not a competition. It's none of that. It's so that we can reconnect with God, so that Jesus can bless us through the reading of His holy word. So, guys, today we are reading the book of Chronicles, First Chronicles, chapter 24, all the way to chapter 26. And guys, we are almost done with the book of First Chronicles. We are cruising through these books. So let us get right into the reading. So in chapter 24, it tells us about the divisions of priests. Actually, in fact, all the three chapters that we read here is just a bunch of list of it's just a list of names, of positions, and stuff like that. So in chapter 24, we see the priests. Some of these names should be familiar to us now that we've read the 5 books of Moses. We see Aaron's sons and all these things and all these names, all the priests. It gives us more details on the names of the Levites and all the duties that they had to do. In chapter 25, it gives us details about the musicians, during this time. It gives us the number of musicians, who were the musicians, the families of these musicians and everything. And it was very, very interesting to see that there's a whole chapter dedicated to the musicians. That was very interesting to me. In chapter 26, there is a chapter only talking about the gatekeepers, right? Now, a lot of people don't really pay attention to the gatekeepers because they're just gatekeepers. But the Bible, God decided to include a chapter for them because their duty was very, very important. They had to keep the people of God safe, even though gatekeepers is probably how you call it, equivalent to today's security guards, right? And we don't really you know think a lot about the security guards. Like, we know they are important, but we don't really praise them that much, right? But here the Bible takes time to give credit to these people, and it's actually very, very interesting. So let us go to the 3 points that we always touch on every single video. The first point is, what new things I learned. I learned so many things. All these names I learned in all three chapters. um, One thing that caught my eye was the detail that was given to the musicians, the families, the numbers, the instruments that they played, the details that these people played in the temple of God. They did all these services, which was pretty interesting. I didn't know that it gives detail about how the services were, or at least how many musicians there were and what instruments they used. That was very cool. And also, chapter 26, the gatekeepers, because I had no idea that there was a chapter dedicated to gatekeepers. So that's one of the few things I learned. Now, point number two, what questions do I have about the reading? I really do have a question, lots of questions actually, about chapter 25 that talks about the musicians. The music is a very, I guess, controversial topic in our church, especially the Seventh Day Adventist Church. What instruments should we use? What type of music? how much music we use, or like what is the right correct way to do it. Um, and here, I just see a bunch of musicians. They have a lot of cool instruments like the harps, the lyres, the cymbals, and stuff. Some people say these were instruments for outside, but inside they use different instruments. Well, not everybody fitted in the temple of God. In that temple that was built, like when people congregated, what is the temple really? What is the church? Is people, right? And to know that there was such a lot of musicians back then. This probably was like an orchestra or something like that. It must have been insane. And I'm pretty sure they all didn't just stay quiet and listen to the songs. Like there's so many musicians that I see this like a very beautiful concert, honestly, and people getting happy, people praising the Lord, and the list goes on and on. So my question is there more details, archaeological details that can show us how music service was back then? Are there any details here? Are there any uh, mentions of instruments that were very very prominent back then? How were these instruments used at that time? Do we have any records on how they worshipped the Lord back then? With their music, because some people today, they say this is the only way and that is bad. This is bad and this is good. All these things like. But I'm pretty sure the music that we sing now is not the same as the ones they sang back then, especially the ones they sang, when the prophets were present, where God Himself says that the music was good, or when they played the songs, in the temple of the Lord, and it's definitely not the same music. So it's very interesting how people say this is correct and this is wrong, while if I'm pretty sure if we played the music that they played during these Bible times, I'm pretty sure they would be like, oh no, this is not good either. So it's a very interesting chapter about the musicians and the instruments. My questions, pretty much is, how was it back then? Because I really, really want to know. I think music is very, very important, and we see that music is very important when God gives them a whole chapter credit to the musicians, that He gave gifts to. If God gave you a gift of music, pray to God and ask God that you may develop that talent, that gift that He gave you, so that you can praise His holy name. So now let us go to the third point, which is what message God has for me today. Um, One of the messages that I got was um, the gatekeepers, pretty much. When I was reading this, I'm like, man, the gatekeepers. How I didn't think they were important until now, right? And sometimes you don't even notice, but there's some people that have jobs that if they weren't there, we would just crumble in disaster. These are pretty much the people that do the shifts no one wants to do, like the overnight shifts. They do the dirty work. None of us want to be in their place. None of us want to walk in their shoes, and at the same time, none of us give them credit for their work and stuff like that. But we need to realize that there's a lot of people. Same thing with the gatekeepers. They have to stand in one place for days, like for an entire day, for entire nights. Their only job was just to stand there. Now I could be wrong. Maybe they had more duties to do as gatekeepers, but definitely no one pretty much said. I'm pretty sure no one was like, "Man, I wish I was a gatekeeper," or like, "When I grow up, I would like to be a gatekeeper." I don't know, but these people, or maybe they were, maybe this was a position of honor, but in talking today's terms, a gatekeeper can be like a security guard. Nobody wants to be a security guard nowadays. Like, it's obviously countries are not the same as the nations back then, where they had a big wall separating them, the wall. But now we don't want to be security guards. We don't want to be janitors. We don't want to be maintenance people and stuff like that. Sometimes we don't give credit to these people, and I learned my lesson because I'm working now as maintenance, and it's a lot of work, and I also work with some of the coworkers that I see. They're not really my coworkers, but there's some other workers that I see from other places that we walk close to each other, and security guards, people who have to look after the overnights, see that nothing goes wrong and stuff like that. And many times I just never thought how important it was for someone to take down garbage. I didn't know how important it was for someone to make sure all the machines in the basement are working fine. I didn't realize how important it was for someone to just keep an eye on the cameras so that nothing bad goes wrong. Sometimes we take those things for granted. And God just gives credit here to all those people who do, the hard work behind the scenes, to those people who actually look after other people with their jobs, but a lot of people they don't give them credit for it. And I think God here is telling you, no matter what position you have, like you may be having a position that you think is important, or that a position that doesn't really get that much recognition. God is telling you today that what you're doing is very important. And if you're in church, or like if you may say yourself, I'm just a deacon, I'm just an usher who just leads people. Like, guys, that all those things are important. Like, you don't just say that, oh, I'm just this person, I just do this one thing. Because without someone doing those things, we will just be a huge mess in church, in society, in our families. We all carry a responsibility. And sometimes, that responsibility is not viewed as a something awesome, or something aspiring. But God is telling you, whatever you do your best. And even though no one recognizes your hard work, I recognize your hard work. God is telling you what you are doing is important, and you are important. So, guys, you might be in a job where you just feel like you're useless, or that you feel like you're no good, or you're no important. Just know that because you are a child of God, you are important. And wherever God places you, because if you're if you trust God, if you place your life in His hands, He's gonna lead you through so many jobs. He's gonna put you in so many other places. And if you're trusting God and you feel like you're in a place of no hope, of no importance, just know that just because you trusted God, that place that you're in, it's important. That small job, that job in a fast food place and stuff that you may seem as undesirable. God placed you there so that you can bless other people. God placed you there, and even though it may not look as important as other jobs that we see in society, every single job is important, and you are important. Never forget that you are amazing. You are a child of God. So, guys, this is the message that I got for you today from the reading. It's wonderful. I hope you guys keep on going strong. I know it's very hard. There's so many things going on in this world, and we also have our own problems. So it's very, very difficult, but with the help of God, we can do this. We can separate special time to be with Him, and it's gonna be the best decision that we make, honestly, during these very, very hard times. God bless you all, and I'll see you again tomorrow.